On a related note, I'm Alyssa Ljubicich.
On a related note, this is a song that we wrote. Now let's get to the podcast.
You are listening to On a Related Note, where the world's most interesting people play a series of ridiculous games in order to uncover a secret code word. I'm Chris Dallariva.
And I'm John Franklin.
And who are we here with today, John?
We are here with a close, personal person in my life, Alyssa Ljubicich. Alyssa, who is on season 4 of The Circle. She is a sex coach, as well as a social media content creator. Alyssa, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm very nervous.
I don't think you should be nervous. I think you're going to be great.
I thought it was strange that John didn't say you're also a very nice person.
Thank you, Chris.
No problem.
I think it's
nice.
implied that she's a nice person whenever I speak about her.
Well, maybe you should make it clear sometimes.
Why are you trying to undermine my relationship on the first episode of this podcast?
So this is the first episode of this podcast, and I think we're going to have some fun today, and we're just going to get right into it. Today's code word is a person. So, Alyssa, we're going to play a series of games that are tangentially related to whoever this person is, and you are going to have to try to put together the clues and identify them after all the games. So we're going to start today with our first game. It is called First Impressions.
Hey! Xin chào. Guten Tag. Assalamualaikum.
Okay.
The premise of this game is that John is horrible at doing impressions. So I have selected a series of 4 impressions that he is going to do, and you will have to try to identify who they are. John does not know who these people are right now.
I've never seen this list.
Okay. I thought you didn't know who you would see the name and be like, I'm just gonna take a wild stab.
So Chris is going to read them to me, and
Okay.
then I'm going to give an impression of that person. And it's
Okay.
your job to try to figure out
Great.
who I am impersonating.
Okay.
So here's
Here's the first impression. It's gonna say it for our listeners.
Give me back my key.
I'm very, very sorry.
Do you understand how creepy this is?
Oh, yes, we discussed it at length last night.
In my apartment while I was sleeping.
And snoring.
And John, you have 30 seconds to convince Alyssa.
Okay. Hey, it's me. I was on that show with all the nerds, but I was like the hot one, but I wasn't a nerd. I got blonde hair, and there was a nude scandal about me.
Blonde hair and a nude scandal.
That really narrows it down.
I was the neighbor on this show with Sheldon Cooper and
Who the hell is Sheldon Cooper?
and Leonard Hofstadter.
Who the fuck are any of these people?
It was a Chuck Lorre hit, even though it kind of stunk.
So saying I'm gonna be so bad at these games. I have no idea.
Okay, so
Group of nerds.
that was one of the worst impressions I've ever heard.
I don't know.
That could have been anyone. The first name that came to mind was literally Danny DeVito when you started
that's
doing
that's
that.
fair. I'm not good at impressions.
So that was a woman.
What?
It was Penny from The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, I've never seen The Big Bang Theory.
Okay, so I will play you a clip so you can
Okay.
hear what her voice actually sounds like. What would you grade that impression?
0 out of 10. Is that
Okay.
is that Kaylee Cuoco's?
Yes.
Character?
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
You sounded like literally Danny DeVito.
So the first answer is Penny. I don't know what her last name is.
I don't know.
From The Big Bang Theory. All right, impression number 2.
Okay.
We will read it aloud to our listeners.
I heard you in music class. You guys can really play. Why didn't anyone tell me?
I can do this one, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready? Can
Yep,
I go?
yep.
All right, here we go. And the legend of the rent was way past due. And then you come in with the bass. All right, cool. Here we go.
Okay, nice. We'll play a little clip of Mr. Black for you, just in case you've forgotten.
Funny.
That wasn't bad.
No, that was pretty good.
That was more just a gimme because TikTok brought that back. I mean, for the record, I think. What is your take on School of Rock as a movie?
It's amazing. I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
I feel like it's a bona fide modern classic.
Yeah, I would say so.
Bona
I would
fide
say
modern
so.
classic is a great way to put it.
Yeah. Are you a big Jack Black fan?
What?
Go. You finish it.
I like him. I haven't like watched a ton of the thing. Like
Okay.
I watched like the hits.
I feel like some people
essentially.
think he's silly.
So, to be fair, Alyssa asked me a question the other week, and she said, who is a celebrity that you would sleep with, but not tell people because it's a little too embarrassing? And she said Jack Black, which I think is unfair because I would be pumped if I slept with Jack Black.
That is true. he is a brag-worthy celebrity to bed.
You know, I don't know. I don't know if I would tell a lot of people. I might tell some people. I don't know. Jack Black is like very funny, but he's like a little older, and I think he has kids. Doesn't he have kids?
He does. He's
I
married.
think you take that out of that, though, when you ask the hypothetical question.
I think like he could very easily, like he's so funny and personable. He could definitely like bag anybody he wants.
Wow.
I
So
really think
this
he
next
can.
person is somebody who I know. I think many men in my age cohort have had crushes on, and John is gonna give it his best. First, for our listeners, here's the name.
Dug my key into the side of this pretty little souped-up four-wheel drive.
I'm going to tell you up front, this will not be good. This is not going to be
Christ.
good. Okay. Am I good to go?
Yep, you're good.
All
You're
right.
good.
I was on that show about singing, and it was the one with Ryan Seacrest, and I'm pretty sure I won it.
so it's
I
like
have
American
blonde
Idol.
hair, not
Clay Aiken.
not
No.
the first one, but the other one, and I'm a woman.
Oh, Kelly Clarkson.
No, the other one.
Oh, Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
Yes. That again, terrible. Here is a clip of the Queen.
Banger.
I have a friend who had a huge crush on Kelly Clarkson.
Wow, don't call him out like that.
And I know that he would have loved to spend a night with her, but
And
you know.
tell everyone about it.
I don't mean he would definitely brag.
Yeah.
Back in the day if
That's
that did
brag-worthy
happen.
even now.
Ooh.
So
I can't believe you got that. Not because of the information I gave, but because I'm realizing my impression was half like 50s crooner singing.
Yeah, definitely.
also
not.
because she gets Clay Aiken, I know Clay Aiken. I know it was a horrible impression.
I'm basically playing reverse charades. I'm giving all of the information about this person and not a good impression.
Right.
So
Okay.
let's see if we could. This is someone you should be familiar with, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do a good impression. It's the last one
Oh my
for
god.
this game.
Ooh.
Here's the name for everybody listening.
Okay.
Anyways, I was dancing in the mirror the other day, but not like dancing in the mirror, like dancing in the mirror, you know what I mean? Like, whoo, like dancing in the mirror.
And take it away, John.
This is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow, a pirate so brave.
Is it Johnny Depp?
In the seven seas. You know that they do all the I do parody songs. I was on SNL and digital shorts. I went to NYU and I
feel like I
created The
know.
Lonely Island.
Oh,
Hey,
Adam
it's me.
Sandberg?
Yeah.
Or Sandberg?
Yeah, you got the last name.
I don't know.
No.
Andy.
Andy.
All right.
So Alyssa, which impression do you think was the best, and which do you
Jack
think
Black.
Jack Black was good?
That was the only one I felt like was actually an impression.
Which do you think was the worst, and why was it Penny from The Big Bang Theory?
Because I genuinely, wholeheartedly thought, oh my god, he's doing Danny DeVito. I know this one. I really thought it was.
That
gonna
is,
be Danny.
those are two people that should never be confused.
No,
ever.
never in a million years.
I got to be honest with you. I thought going into having that segment in the podcast, I would be a lot better at it. And then I realized really quick, I can't do impressions at all.
Okay, well, that's okay. It's a learning moment.
So speaking of first impressions, Alyssa, you were on, obviously, The Circle. We were on The Circle together.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I think people don't really know much about what your life was prior to the show coming out. What's
Mm-hmm.
like if you had to give an elevator pitch of like, what was Alyssa Ljubichich's life pre-show? What's like the best way to describe that?
I guess the best way to describe it would have been that I went to college in New York City, and I started working corporate jobs. I worked in advertising. I worked in fashion for a handful of years, and I really hated it. I hated every second of it, and so I left it all to move to LA originally to try and learn how to do special effects makeup. That was my original plan because I really love horror movies and I love special effects makeup, and so I wanted to learn how to do that. And so that was the reason I moved. And then COVID hit, and I needed a job, and the sex coach was a friend of a friend of a friend, and she just needed a virtual assistant. And my roommate had caught wind of it, and she was like, I think that this might actually work really well for you. And it did. And then it just changed my whole life. And so I worked with her for a year and a half, and then got the show, and then decided to move back east.
So going back to the special effects makeup, what would you say was the thing that inspired you to be obviously you love horror movies.
Yes.
But what was there a specific one? Was there a character where you were like, this person is the reason why I want to do this?
This one from Pan's Labyrinth. There's a movie called Pan's Labyrinth, and there's
Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It is Guillermo del Toro. And all of the makeup in that movie is really cool. That character in particular. Even I liked Hellraiser a lot. And there's a scene in Hellraiser where one of the characters, Julia, has no skin, so it's just muscle and sort of this weird oozy stuff over top of it. And I remembered watching it and being like, this is actually really beautiful, because they had to figure out a way to make it look like a moving human body, and you're seeing muscle tissue pulling in the way that it should while she's walking.
That's wild.
And it was just so, I've never seen anything like that before, and that was just really cool. And I liked the idea of making something that was just something you'd buy in a pot, and making it look real, human or a monster or whatever. I thought that was just interesting. And you do special effects work in a lab, which is cool.
Oh, really?
Most of it's done in a lab if you're doing prosthetics and stuff
crazy.
like that. And so those labs are they require a lot of space. I think partially because of the ventilation of using that kind of stuff. So those are mostly in LA.
That's I didn't know that.
I didn't either. What are your favorite horror movies? I don't really like being scared, but
me too.
I love being scared.
So what's actually not your favorite? What horror movies, one or two, do you think have given you the biggest scare?
Hereditary scared the shit out of me.
Why?
It scared I don't know. I think that there's something interesting with modern horror films because they give you there's a challenge now of balancing. I think anytime you see the monster, the movie is not that scary anymore.
Yeah.
But now you have the benefit of CGI, so you can create whatever effect that you want. And as long as you balance that well enough with practical effects, which are the ones that you're doing physically, you can create this really delicate balance of magic. And Hereditary did that for me, and I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks after watching that. And I will watch whatever scary movie and go right to bed after, and I'm fine. And that movie fucked me up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was really, really scary. And I think it was a mix of practical effects, CGI, and not really seeing the monster. And so when you don't see the monster and it's all psychological, it's a different kind of scary.
It's the suggestion.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you've created the fear in your brain alone. And so then when you go to bed, you sleep with that. That is your fear now,
So on a related note, we're going to turn to our second game. This one is called What's in a Name?
I'm very excited about this one.
Okay.
So John has put together a list of names and biographies. I have not seen these. Some of them are real, some of them are fake. I'm just going to read the person's name in the biography, and you have to tell me if they are real or fake.
Oh God. Okay. He's done this to me before, and I didn't do well in this.
Alyssa has actually made fun of me for my ability to create fake people.
Yeah.
It is astounding.
None of your friends sound real because all of their names are crazy.
That's fair. Again, now reminder to everybody listening that Alyssa's job throughout the duration of this show is to figure out the common code word or code name in this case because it is a person. So these segments are trying to help Alyssa get to that point. So they're not going to be right up front, but there are themes throughout each one that you're looking for. Hence why Alyssa is taking vicious notes, same way she did when we were on a reality TV show together. So Alyssa, this is What's in a Name. What's in a name?
Okay.
Presented by Christopher Dallariva.
Okay.
Baroness Orczy. Hungarian-born British novelist and playwright, she is best known for her series of novels featuring the Scarlet Pimpernel, the alter ego of Sir Percy Blakeney, a wealthy English fop who turns into a quick-thinking escape artist in order to save French aristocrats from, quote, Madame Guillotine during the French Revolution. Is that person real or fake?
That sounds very real.
That is real.
Yeah, Baroness Orczy is real.
How do you even have that person's name?
I mean, it's just Google's a great tool.
Okay.
All right, number 2, Fanny Flagg. Best known for writing the 1987 novel Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, which was adapted into the 1991 motion picture Fried Green Tomatoes. She was also a semi-regular panelist on the 1973 to 1982 versions of the game show Match Game, my favorite game show.
Really long, thin microphone. If you remember, they were always bombed. Charles Nelson Riley, he rocked.
I want to say that's real too.
True.
Okay.
That is real. Fanny Flagg is a real writer and sort of a semi-celebrity.
Yeah. She had a really good run.
Number 3. Ready for number 3? Cartier Miller wrote several erotic novels throughout the early 20th century. Miller was convicted of acts of treason as a member of the Hollywood 11. After dying in prison, Miller was later pardoned by Richard Nixon for her wrongful conviction. Her novels are still considered some of the most taboo writing in American history. Is Cartier Miller real or fake?
I want to say fake.
You are right again.
You want to know why I thought that she might be fake? Is because this you might not want to put this on the podcast maybe, but because Nixon was conservative, so there's no way that he would pardon somebody who was writing erotic novels.
Wow,
that's a great no, that has to make it in the show. That is a great.
That's some good sleuthing.
That's sleuthery.
Yeah.
If sleuthery's a word. Well done.
So let's see
Thank
if
that was really good.
If you can sleutherize T.R. Whitesdorf. Whitesdorf, a German-American author, wrote several fictional novels about action hero Franz Griddle. Griddle was a German-American man of mystery whose main goal across several novels was to infiltrate the Axis powers during World War II. Whitesdorf received major criticism for his take on the classic secret agent theme. Soon after, James Bond became a worldwide hit, and Whitesdorf never published another novel until his death in 1978. Real or fake?
Real.
T.R. Whitesdorf is fake.
Oh.
A creation of John Anthony
Wow.
Franklin.
Wow.
Franz Griddle could have been the greatest action hero of our time.
That made me think it might not be real, but I don't really know much about like James Bond or whatever that kind of stuff.
So we'll move on to the next one. Iceberg Slim. Pen name for Robert Beck, a former American pimp who later became a writer. According to his memoir, Pimp, Slim started pimping at age 18 and continued until age 42. In his autobiography, he concedes he was a ruthless, vicious man. Iceberg Slim, real or fake?
Real.
He is indeed real.
Okay,
Iceberg Slim
okay.
is real. That's a pretty famous memoir.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm pretty upset I didn't make him up.
You can't make up a ruthless, vicious man.
That's true. I'm such a nice guy, right, Alyssa?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm looking at all of my
Oh.
notes.
Notes.
I'm trying to pull it together.
You gotta, yeah. You're doing a good job.
We have a couple more here. Tiberius Dubois, Canadian writer from Montreal responsible for creating children's book character Armando the Great and his funny friends. His more serious works never gained much acclaim. Is Tiberius Dubois real or fake?
Fake.
Correct. Tiberius
Damn.
Dubois is made up.
Wow.
The worst part about Tiberius Dubois is we were looking up every name I made up, and there was a chance that I made up a real person by accident.
There was an ancient Roman person who named Tiberius, and there was some Dubois associated with them, but they are separate people.
Okay.
Next, Edwidge Dainticat, Haitian-American novelist and short story writer. Her first novel, Breathe Eyes Memory, went on to become an Oprah's book club selection. Real or fake?
Fake.
Edwidge Dainticat is a real woman.
Damn.
Very celebrated Haitian-American novelist.
Wow. Exciting.
And we have three more. First, This is my favorite name on the list. Crenshaw Pfeifenduffer. Pfeifenduffer is a Belgian Ghanaian author who wrote a celebrated biography of fellow Belgian Adolf Sax, credited with inventing the saxophone. Pfeifenduffer is also credited with helping create the Oxford comma. Is Crenshaw Pfeifenduffer real or fake?
I really hope it's fake. I really hope it's fake.
It is fake.
Okay.
But Adolf Sax is the inventor.
Adolf Sax did make the saxophone. That's true. That's factually accurate.
Okay.
Two more. William Carlos Williams, a 20th century American poet who simultaneously had a long career as a physician, practicing both at pediatrics and general medicine. His most famous poem is called The Red Wheelbarrow and goes as follows. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Real or fake?
Real.
William Carlos Williams is real. He was from Paterson, New Jersey. We are in New Jersey right now.
Wow.
I'm honestly shocked you've only gotten one wrong so far.
Was it one?
I
Two.
think-
The only reason.
Oh, two. Edwidge Dainticat and T.R. Whitesdorf.
is because I've been dating you for months. It's the only reason.
And
Well, you got one more left.
Okay.
Sir Anthony Macmillan. And that is not Sir as in a royal. The first name is Seranthony. Sir Anthony.
Oh, okay.
An American poet and playwright most known for his acclaimed book of sonnets. He's one of 4 writers ever to posthumously receive the Windjammer Award for Poetry. Real or fake?
Fake.
It is fake. John, is the Windjammer Award?
I made the Windjammer is just a place in New York City. It's like a bar. I made it up.
I will say, Chris, that you laugh. I think when they're fake.
It's unfair that Chris doesn't get to see these prior to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you can read Crenshaw Pfeifenduffer and not laugh. So you were 8 for 10, which is pretty unbelievable.
Thanks.
And I mean, on a related note, we're speaking about names. You have a particularly specific last name.
I do.
And on the show, especially talk about your Italian heritage. I think maybe it's something you haven't had much of a chance to dive into, like the opposite side of things.
Oh, yeah.
I think so many people ask about your Italian side because it came out so much on the show.
Yeah.
What is Ljubicich? Where does it come from? What's the relationship with that?
It's Croatian. My grandpa is Croatian on my dad's side. And so we have like a section of my family that's Croatian. But my grandfather moved to Italy when he was young and before he immigrated to North America. He actually came to Canada first and then to the US. And so a lot of what we do culturally, and Croatia and Italy are quite like geographically close to each other. So a lot of what we do culturally is more of the Italian side. Like he made wine, and we did like sauce day at his house. And so like most of what we do culturally is more the Italian side. So I'm like 3/4 Italian and 1/4 Croatian.
Okay.
Interesting.
The LJ. So your last name is spelled with the letters L and then J.
Yes.
I've never seen the LJ cluster before.
The LJ cluster. Yeah. And there's parts of my family that when they immigrated over, like dropped the J or dropped the H at the end or like a CH. So our family on that side all spell it like a little bit different and they all pronounce it a little bit different. It's like one of those weird things where like most of us are the first generation born here. Like we're relatively new to like whatever we have a lot of our immigrant culture in that sense with us still, which is kind of cool.
What's the most egregious mispronunciation you've ever heard of your last name?
Ljubicich.
Oh,
That because it feels deliberate.
Yeah.
It feels like well,
That's wild.
yeah. But I think it's just there's a silent J and then there's I's and C's repeatedly and then an H. It's like your mouth doesn't know what to do with that, and that none of those combinations of letters happen in like American English at all.
Not regularly.
Yeah, which
No.
is so interesting. I also think like another thing, just diving into more of you that the people don't know, I would say, because I think it's so easy to get caught up in what's on the front, like that initial like judge the book by its cover when you're on a reality show, and then after, I think the Italian sex coach from New York, right?
Yeah.
What are some things about you in particular that not many people publicly know, not in like a negative sense or like in like you're keeping secrets, but I mean like things that you just haven't had the chance to convey to the wider public about who you are, because I think so much of your following is geared towards what happened post-show and having to stick to that.
Yeah.
You could say the negative things though if you want.
If you want to expose a secret too.
Been meaning to get this monkey off my back. That's got to be a phrase that we can't use anymore. Something about it doesn't seem right. I don't know.
Oh,
anyway,
you said it. So, but go on.
I don't know. I'm an avid reader. I really like reading, especially recently. I've gotten back into reading. What else?
What sort of stuff do you like to read?
Or
what authors?
I like thrillers. So Colleen Hoover has written some good ones. There's a book that I read recently called The Silent Patient that I was like, I've never flipped through a book so fast. I was like, on my Kindle.
I know people can't see this, but the dramatization of flipping through a book, it looked dangerous.
Yeah, it did. It was vicious.
It is. And I like little hints of magical fantasy. Like I love something that's like a witchy story.
Okay.
I love that.
So
and a little bit of historical fiction too.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, if you like horror in your movies, do you like them in your books too?
I haven't found horror books that I've really liked just yet.
Okay.
I'm open to them, but for some reason I haven't really picked up. Like I've tried to read Stephen King a bunch of times and I have such a hard time because I'm reading them and I'm like, you know what? Brevity is also a skill. And this story didn't need 700 pages.
That's so interesting, actually.
But the detail is what makes people like really,
As someone who doesn't read, that was a really good description of why I don't. So moving past that, you touched on historical society and historical things.
Oh.
This is something about you that I think people kind of get, but they might also think it's a bit. But this is real. Alyssa loves the historical fiction of like America, like her hometown during I don't even know what revolutionary America, things like that, like.
Colonial America.
Colonial America is the perfect way to put it. It's interesting.
The town where my parents live right now was founded in 1680, and
good year.
Their story was interesting because they had it was 22 Puritans who went from a neighboring town, walked over on this road that's adjacent to where my parents live. And settled where they live now, and the area was a neutral spot during the Revolutionary War, which was pretty cool. I just think that's really interesting. And there's a graveyard that dates back to the 1600s.
Interesting. Now, when you
no, you go.
I was gonna say, so when you think back of a time in your life that you wish you lived in,
yeah, I
always think you would want to live in that era, but I also think there's so much more modern time that. The 70s or 60s where maybe you're not necessarily adjacent to, but because of what you do as sex coaching, those are interesting times also to be alive. I think there's a lot of pivotal points in American history when it comes to the taboo nature of sex, for lack of a better term. But if there were a time in your life, not in your life, if there were a time in the world where you could go back and live in, what would that time period be?
I think I would want to be around for the sort of the I'm trying to think of, there's a word that I'm trying to, or a phrase I'm trying to think of in the 60s where it was all about just love and free love and just it was a big moment of exploration for sexuality. There was a lot of studying sexuality for the very first time. There's the Kinsey Institute, which was founded by this Dr. Kinsey, and he was one of the first people to ever study sexuality, and that was in the 60s. And so I think it would have been interesting to have been around for that because you're really on the frontier of that whole space.
Yeah.
It was a time where things plural relationships, plural marriages were being accepted into westernized culture, which is cool. It was a big moment for women too, being able to experience some sort of revolution and liberation in that time. I saw recently that women weren't allowed to have a credit card on their own until the 70s.
Oh, not Big
It was
Diners
like
Club
1973.
No.
So like it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to have been around for that. Probably also equally as terrifying.
Yeah.
But to be part of like the group of people on the frontier of it would have been cool.
I just want to make clear that John made a joke during
I couldn't hear it.
Alyssa's comment about women's liberation, and it sounded like I was laughing at that, but it was about the Diners Club of America, which was a credit card.
A very specific reference that I just made. It's the first credit card in American history. So talk about being on the pioneer frontier.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
yeah. On a related note,
I think we're going to go from the past to the future with this next game.
I got it.
Let us A.
Okay.
I got it. I got it is a game where I went into an AI generator and I typed in several keywords to create an image. The game is between you and Christopher. Chris has not seen these images. He does not know what I searched. I made them.
Okay.
What we are going to do is each game is worth points. The first set of 4 pictures is worth 1 point. And as they get harder, they're worth more points. The first set is worth 1 point, second set is worth 2 points, and the last set is worth 4 points, so you're never out of the game. How does that sound, folks?
Great.
I like that.
All right. Well, for those of you listening at home, it'll be hard for me to show you the picture, so we're going to tell you who it is.
Or with the phrase you entered.
Yeah, with the phrase I entered. And then I'm going to show it to you guys. So as the guest, Alyssa, you will get the first guess in the first inaugural game of AI Got It. How does that sound? All right, here's your first picture.
And don't shy away from describing it to our listeners.
Okay. Oh, is it Elvis? It looks like it's just a bunch of different pictures of Elvis. It's like that. Am I supposed to be describing?
Yeah, and then you could submit a guess.
Okay. It's sort of like that rockabilly kind of style, with like that like tall hair, and it really, I mean, it just kind of looks like Elvis.
What is your final guess?
Elvis.
And you would be correct. Alyssa earns the point. The first AI Got It search was just Elvis Presley.
Okay.
The king of rock and roll.
I didn't even get a guess.
Oh, yeah, you didn't get to guess.
Do I start
That's okay.
this time?
You start the second round. The
Got
second
it.
round is objectively a little bit harder.
Great.
Okay.
I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick here.
Yeah. So should I hold? We should be holding our guesses, I assume, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So while John pulls this up, we will read to our listeners what he entered into the AI generator.
And once this goes away, then I will show you.
What's not going away?
There it is.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Chris, this is the image.
Okay, I am seeing a king eating a burger and fries. I am going to guess this is the Burger King eating a burger.
And that would be incorrect, Chris.
Oh, God.
There's no real part of the keyword. Well, you got one part of the keyword sort of correct. It's correct but out of place.
Okay, so Alyssa, you get to...
Correct but out of place. Alyssa, these are the images.
This just looks like it's Burger King.
This is a little bit harder, so it would not be Burger King. Alyssa, is that your final guess?
No, yeah, I guess so.
All right, it is not Burger King. Burger King is, as I said before, now that Alyssa used it, Alyssa used Burger King. That is the part of the phrase, but it is not, I guess, not in the right spot because you only guessed one thing. Chris.
Okay.
I will give a hint now in the second round. Now that you guys have guessed around once. The hint is it is a specific person. A specific person. It is not generic.
Okay, I like that. I feel like the most famous male king is King Henry VIII. So I'm going to go with King Henry VIII eating a hamburger.
So close.
What?
So close. You missed the one thing I told you had. You missed the one thing I told you had. You got the first.
Oh, I know what it is
you put
now.
You took something out and put the harder part in.
And I just want to say, we'll post some video clips of this if you're just listening, but some of these pictures are absolutely deranged
Yeah.
images of kings.
Yeah.
So, Alyssa, Chris gave you the phrase. He has basically lined up the Wheel of Fortune phrase for you and missaid it.
I don't remember. See, this is where my memory comes into play. I don't remember how you phrased it the first time that I'm supposed to phrase it like.
No, think about what he said the second time. There was a part that you said that was in there that he didn't add.
Yeah, King Henry VIII eating a burger.
No, but what did you say?
Burger King? King Henry VIII as Burger King?
No! Come on!
All right, I think I
What
got
am I
it.
supposed to be doing
Chris,
here?
take the points.
King Henry VIII eating a burger from Burger King.
Thank you. Oh,
okay.
my
That's
goodness.
so specific.
That's the 2-point question. But Alyssa, you're not out of it. You're not out of it.
So I'm up 2-1, and Alyssa starts our final round, the 4-pointer.
Correct. Alyssa starts the final round, the 4-pointer. For those of you listening at home, we are going to pump in the audio of what they're looking at right now. And Alyssa, here is the image.
Why don't you describe what you're looking at?
Okay. So it's more kings, but there are also like a deck of cards that have fallen to the ground. So it's dropping cards. So a king dropping a deck of cards. I know that's not it, but I feel like I need to start there.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
But it is a very good jumping off point. No
Yeah.
phrase is particularly correct, but she gave you a little bit.
Okay, she is right. It looks like a king. There's definitely king dropping cards, or so I'm looking at kings. Looks like there's a drinking game called Kings. Can we go back to that image?
Which one? This one?
No, one more. So this is just a sort of a group of kings together. And this is a hard one, I presume.
This is the hardest one. This is the 4-pointer. So for those of you keeping track at home, Chris is up 2-1. But anybody can win the game because we're like that here at On a Related Note.
Okay, on a related note, I'm going to guess King Arthur playing the drinking game Kings.
Chris, I got to tell you, what a guess. It is not completely correct.
Oh my
But I can give you that King Arthur is in the right place.
What?
Okay.
King Arthur is in the right place. Now, I will give you the hint going into the next round. It is a card game, but it has nothing to do. No, it is not a card game. It is a specific part of a card game that you could get, but it's not a drinking card game. It is a poker card game.
Oh, I think I got it.
I don't play poker, so I don't know. I guess King Arthur dropping a royal flush or something. Is that what it is?
And Alyssa wins the game.
That's what
King Arthur getting a royal flush. You got to give it to her.
I give
gotta
you props
give it to
there,
her.
Alyssa.
There were a
Alyssa
lot of hints to get me there, but I appreciate
Alyssa
it.
wins the game at King Arthur getting a royal flush, and you win our first game of A. I got it. How does it feel?
Feels good.
So why don't you, John? Why don't you recap what the three answers were for Alyssa?
So to give you guys the answers were Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley. It was King Henry VIII eating Burger King. And to round it out, King Arthur getting a royal flush. Those were your 3 winners. For A, I got it.
So, Alyssa, before I want to just hear before we get into the last game.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you are thinking right now. If you've been able to put anything together.
I'm thinking that So when I was looking at the first group of answers, I was like not really seeing much of a trend aside from like people who are like very good at their job, I guess like gold standard of their category.
Okay.
And also maybe like early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got into the second category, and then it was sort of getting into like writers.
Real and fake.
Yes. It was
Crenshaw
writers, real and fake. Hints of being erotic, and also hints of treason.
I think you focused very too hard on Cartier Miller for that, for that one.
And then Kings was obviously the theme of this last game. So I'm assuming that the theme of the entire show, this episode specifically, is kings. I'm assuming that like kings of their field perhaps would be the first. I don't know. That's what I got so far. We'll see.
Interesting. Well, I will tell you that I won't give you any information regarding whether or not you're correct.
I won't either.
But just to dive in a little more friendly about the conversation, get the game out of the way here for a second. Alyssa, you also, upon your own social media, you talk about obviously being a sex coach, doing what you do. But I think an interesting part of this that I think people don't understand very well is like necessary schooling, or like, for lack of a better term, like stuff that you don't necessarily have to do to go to school. What is like the general step-by-step to becoming a sex coach or sex therapist?
So if you wanted to be a sex therapist, you would have to go through all of the steps that are appropriate for your state to be a licensed therapist. And then you would do an additional certification in sex coaching. And then you would have to do a certain amount of practice hours that you're being observed, and then practice hours where you're doing them on your own, and I think like sort of reporting them back to whoever's observing you. That's sort of an ordeal. And then you take an exam, and then you're certified by the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists.
Interesting.
If you are going to just be a sex coach, you don't do any of the therapist certification before that. And you do the certification program, same one that they do, without having the therapy component. You do the sex coaching certification, observation hours, taking the test, getting ASEX certified. And you can actually anyone can like wake up one day and be like, I'm a sex coach, but you want to make sure you find somebody who's going to be ASEX certified before they're like taking your money. Got it. To make sure that they're not just going to, give you whatever bullshit indoctrinated thing that they want to tell you.
And is this field, is it largely structured around pleasure, or is it also cover like intimacy and relationships?
It's all of it. It depends on where you want to specialize. Like for me, I really wanted to specialize in, when I worked with my old boss, we worked a lot with women who've had traumatic experiences, and that like on a personal level was really important to me. And now I've sort of moved into like the sex ed space. Like I think it would be interesting to teach almost like an elementary version of sex ed, but for adults, like really just basics, because we didn't really learn that, and including parts of it that are pleasure related. And there's a lot about it that's really interesting, even on like there's a lot of research that people are doing on like the scientific end of it, studying pleasure for the first time, and like how that interacts with your brain and whatever. And so there's lots of different avenues that you can take with it, and lots of different ways to study. The thing that's interesting is the studying that you do for your ASEX certification is sort of like bare bones compared to the like wealth of research and information. Like I've a stack of books that I'm waiting to read about all different areas.
Now, as far as like not necessarily the sex coaching part of it, but what you do that you're passionate about, I think a lot of people struggle with the idea of, oh, I have a career. I could just do this. It pays me. Yeah. And it's fine. But I think something in particular about you that I find particularly interesting, and I think other people would too, and I don't know if it's something that people necessarily talk about much with you or have, is that you quit a job, a corporate job, and you were like, I'm going to do what I love to do. And whether or not you've necessarily gotten to that end point yet, it's something I commend about you. Is that something, like, what's like your best piece of advice to that person who's like working that 9 to 5, but like hates it and wants to do what they're passionate about?
I think my best piece of advice is that you're never too old to restart your whole life, and you can start over a million times. You can do it again and again and again, and it doesn't matter. And there's like this sort of bullshit timeline that we all have to life, that you're going to go to high school. If you are privileged enough, you'll go to college, and then you're going to get a job that's in the track that you're going to follow the rest of your life. And that's just not how life works. And so I would just encourage people to be brave, take on as many hobbies as you can, because hobbies are really important. They help you even just blow off steam from your day. Maybe you actually are fine with having a day job that's not your passion, but you have these great hobbies when you come home. That's also great. But I would just encourage people to continue to explore and be curious and be really brave when you want to make those changes, because life is really short. And at the end of the day, like, who cares? Like, I feel like I had one friend who would always say that life is like a game. Like, it's literally a game. Like, it's all a simulation. It's all a game. You just play it however you want. And like, that's it. That's all it is. And it's your life. There's no like actual winning until like winning is being happy. Winning is making choices that make you feel good. So be brave and do the things that you love, and don't be afraid to like restart it a million times over, because you'll never, like, the experience you have will always be valuable.
I think that's incredibly well said.
Yeah, that's a great message to take us into our final game.
On a related note.
On a related note, we're going to play one more game here, and then we're going to see if Alyssa can piece
Who the code word is.
Yeah.
Oh,
And we're going to thank Alyssa from now already for being brave enough to come on this insane and try this insane idea that John and I
Yeah,
had.
this is the infancy of what On a Related Note might be. Even though she dates me, she did not have to do this. We asked her. We didn't say you had to. You're here. We're doing a podcast. But honestly, it means a lot. We really appreciate you being the maiden voyage here. You're the best.
Wouldn't miss it.
So our last game is called Movie Phone.
Hello and welcome to Movie Phone.
Ring, ring.
This is probably the easiest game we've played. We're going to play today. It's basically, I'm going to play you a clip from a movie, but you're only going to be able to hear it, and you just have to identify what the movie is. So here's your example.
I've seen like 10 movies. I feel like in my life.
I know. Well, I had a hand in making this game.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Here is your example.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Okay.
So that's your example. If
Yes.
if that were part of the game, you would say,
Wizard of Oz.
"Thank you."
Wizard of Oz.
Very good. Now, that was not a part of the theme, so don't worry
Okay.
about that. Don't make that a part of your notes.
Okay.
Now we're going to get into the movie phone.
Yes, we will call up the movie phone, and the first person who picks up is...
I'm coming.
Bella, I don't want you to come.
Oh, it's Twilight.
Twilight.
Is
So
correct.
you're a big Twilight fan, or were?
Yes.
Are actively a
And
big
who
Twilight
wrote
fan.
Twilight? It's
Stephanie
based on a
Meyer.
book, right?
So
Stephanie Meyer.
here's the thing. It's like a comfort thing. Like, it's bad. Me and my friends tried to reread it to do like a fake book club during COVID, and we literally couldn't. We were like, we really stuck with it for like a couple chapters, and then we got to literally chapter 4, and my friend was like, can we please stop doing this? And we were like, oh my god, yes, thank God, because it's horrid.
One of my favorite things ever was one of the first videos Alyssa and I ever made together was her idea, and it was getting wine drunk and watching Twilight to the drinking game.
It's so funny.
It was so fun.
What are the rules to the game?
Oh, it was like
it was so hard.
Oh,
Do
it
you
was like
remember?
elaborate.
Yeah, it was like
It was
like
online.
drink if.
Yeah.
anytime Bella trips, anytime she tucks her hair behind her ear.
You'd be shocked at how much these Oh, they were
Yeah.
stammering.
Yeah.
Any stammering.
Intense staring.
And we just cheers each other and drink it.
So
got
Alyssa
so drunk.
recognized who was on the other end of the movie phone.
Correct.
That
but
time.
they have since hung up.
They have since hung up, but I hear another call coming in, and we hope Alyssa recognizes them.
Augustus Gloop, the great bakery evening complete. Augustus Gloop, so big and vile, so greedy, foul, and infantile. Come on,
So it's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Correct.
Okay.
This is when
I didn't realize you picked that clip.
Augustus Gloop drowns in the...
No, he doesn't drown in the movie. He gets stuck in the tube in the movie.
You want to talk about a scary movie? So this was a clip
Yeah.
from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. The
Oh,
original
yeah.
with Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Terrifying.
Factory, terrified me as a child.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
The orange Oompa Loompas and stuff. Also in the book, Augustus Gloop drowns in chocolate. Like, he dies. But
Yeah.
they couldn't
I think
do that.
all the kids die in the book.
Isn't
And they
that crazy?
deserved it.
That's
I'm allergic to dairy, so...
You don't know? I think the Chocolate Factory could have been dairy-free. You're assuming.
That's true. But you know, I know what goes on out there.
It's so interesting. Like, what could be in a book and not make it into a movie, though?
Yeah, that is true.
I guess I generally don't understand that.
No, you don't read.
Terrible. You should.
So I'm hearing another call come in. This is from another book this is another movie that was a book, and they had to cut things because they're quite long. Let's see if you could get this.
Precious.
Oh, it's Lord of the Rings. I figured when you said they had to cut stuff because they were quite long, it had to be Lord of the Rings.
Okay, maybe we're getting I'm getting too generous now.
Yeah, you're giving too many hints there. But yes, that is
that is Lord of the Rings. I don't know which one it is, but
I gotta be honest with you. As a child, I thought is Gollum or Schmeagol?
Same.
Oh, it's the same thing. Again, didn't read the book. I will tell you, when I saw the movie, I thought that was a child.
Really?
And that, like, I would go to school and there would be one.
Oh my
A Schmeagol?
god.
A Schmeagol, like in the gym, like holding one of those foam like balls that you used to play dodgeball with, going like, my precious.
So we got 2 more for you, Alyssa.
Okay.
You're doing fantastic. Maybe I should. You claim you only seen 10 movies. Did I just pick the 10? The 10 you've seen?
Yes.
So here's another one.
Here's Johnny.
Is it The Shining?
Wow.
Oh my god.
Is it?
For those of you keeping track at home, nobody has said anything yet. It's just an axe hitting a door.
Yeah.
See, I told you. I love them. I love a good scare.
You do love a good scare.
I could hear Wendy scream a mile away and know that it's her.
Interesting.
I'm very
Yeah.
impressed.
I love that movie.
Well, this next one, I will be clear, this was one of the ones that I picked.
John did pick this one.
Oh boy, look at his face. Okay.
Are you gonna make love to me now?
Two things. First, I don't make love. I fuck. Hard.
I've never seen these movies.
As a sex coach, isn't that part of the training?
I really don't like. Those movies make me so uncomfortable.
Really cringy stuff.
Because they just are like, there's no conversations around boundaries or consent, and it's like a really predatory relationship. And so every time I watch them, I'm like, it's all wrong. You know?
So I always think it's funny. I also have not read or seen 50 Shades of Grey.
I haven't seen them.
But I always the author's name is E.L. James, and I always just think that's the most authory name for like the most pornographic
book in history, really.
Yeah.
He's no Cartier Miller.
No, he's not a Cartier Miller. One of the great erotic novelists of all
Part
time.
of the Hollywood 11.
Yeah.
Oh my god, just absolutely made up.
Yeah, it's lunacy.
So, the movie phone, we're putting it back on the hook. And that is our final game here. So, Alyssa, before we see if you could piece this together, and if you can't, maybe we'll give you another hint. This is the first time we've done this, so we don't know if we've made it too hard, too easy, somewhere in the middle. Can you talk us through what you took away from each segment? I know we talked about this a little before, but is there any common thread you're seeing, or any person? Remember, the person is the key word here, the code word.
So, like, writers and kings seem to stand out, but like no one specific person. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, all of the movie clips that you showed me all were based in books.
Okay.
There were a lot of writers, if not all of the people in the second game.
I will tell you, they were all writers.
Were all writers, yeah.
They were real.
And then Elvis, Burger King, like all the kings, like those aren't, I don't know how that relates to writing. Or like a king of writing.
Is there anything from
Stephen King. Is it Stephen King?
Is
Stephen
the code
King
word.
is the code word.
Is today?
Get out!
There you
wait,
go.
what? Wait. Oh my God, wait, I'm really proud that I got that.
So
Alyssa, On a related note, you won the game.
You won.
So I'm gonna go get your prize. I'll be right back.
And I will explain everything to you, or why we put it together the way that we did.
Yeah, I would really love to know.
So first impressions, all of the first names of the people there are Stephen King main characters, except it's Pennywise in it, but Penny was close enough.
Oh wow!
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie. Oh my god!
And then Andy is the main character in Shawshank Redemption, which Stephen King wrote.
I'm so nervous.
Second one, all writers, real or fake. Third, Kings. Elvis is the king of rock.
Yeah.
And fourth, all books that became famous movies. Many books Stephen King has written. Shawshank Redemption, The Shining. We put a little Easter egg in there.
Yeah. Oh, and that's funny that you were asking me about books, and I said that Stephen King.
You're like, I hate him.
Yeah, we were both like, okay.
You both were like, that's a really interesting point that you said.
So now that you've gotten through sort of the sleuthing, you were very unsure that you were going to get it in the first place.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel very
that
accomplished.
It went? As the first person to ever be a guest on this podcast, did you have fun? Like, what's your takeaways of being the
It was
first
really
member?
fun. It's fun, especially because I really was not seeing it come together until we talked about it now. So I feel like I have a big, juicy brain for figuring it out.
Very big, juicy brain.
Now, your relation to Stephen King is not that you like him, but we kind of touched on it throughout.
I like his stories. I don't like reading them. I like watching them.
You like horror.
You like horror. And I think that this is sort of like the way the game works. It always will, is that we try to find something that'll get us to unpack you as we unpack the game. Do you feel like, what's something that you told the people today that you feel like you've never really talked about much that you think was because of the structure of the game, let's say?
Or maybe we did a horrible job.
No, you did a great job.
Oh, well,
I do think it's funny how often horror movies and Stephen King came up. So I'm assuming that was purposeful in some way. Yeah, so I think that was good. I think that was especially fun because I don't get to talk about that stuff that much.
But specifically about you, let's say, like something that you don't necessarily mention to people all that often, or something that you got to talk about.
I didn't know about your
Special effects stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that you wanted to be a special effects makeup artist.
Yeah, that's what I moved there for.
See, that's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So thankfully we had the game for that.
So on a related note, John, would you like to give Alyssa her prize?
Alyssa, for winning the game, I'm very excited to give you a 14-day Amazon colon cleanse.
Wow!
Congratulations!
Thank you so much.
Not a sponsor.
We had a whole conversation about this, and my stomach was growling. So I'm glad that you got this.
But if the 14-day colon cleanse does want to sponsor, our emails are listed online.
Dr. Tobias, if you're out there listening to On a Related Note,
is this actually for me? Am I actually taking?
Congratulations! It's your colon cleanse.
On a related note, this is a song that we wrote. Now let's get to the podcast.